Hey everyone, Untitled Chapter, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we saw Spider-Man No Way Home. We saw it on Thursday, so the day before opening day. So it's been a few days now. It's been a few days. A bunch of people have seen it. And if you want to see it, the people that really want to see it probably already seen it by now. But this is going to be our review of the movie. We're going to keep the beginning of the movie, or of the video, spoiler free. So the first half of it. And we will get into spoilers later on, but we will warn you guys, if you haven't seen the movie, when spoilers will be talked about. So we're going to try our best in the beginning for no spoilers. And if there are, don't worry, I will edit this one. I will cut it out if we do accidentally say something. But the end part, the second half is going to be the spoiler, the actual spoiler. So if you haven't seen the movie, you can watch this first part without having to worry. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. This movie was really good. I just want to go ahead and say that. It was the best of the 3 Spider-Man movies that have been out for the MCU specifically. Like I said, we saw it Thursday night, so before opening day. So we got lucky enough to get tickets for that because we bought them as soon as they got on sale. But God, this is a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. I didn't really write anything down. I was gonna say this is a lot harder to talk about.
I got something I can jump in here. First off, I've been on a little Marvel superhero hiatus since Endgame. I did watch some of the Disney Plus shows, Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they were, they're okay. Nothing crazy impressive or anything like that. Haven't seen Black Widow. Haven't seen the Shang Tsung. Haven't seen
Shang Tsung.
Little Mortal Kombat for you.
Shang-Chi and the Eternals.
Haven't seen the Eternals. I don't know. Just didn't do it for me. So if you guys like those, that's great. But I was looking forward to this one. This rendition and performance by Tom Holland as this Spider-Man has been very good to me. I've enjoyed it a lot. And like he said, this was my favorite of his 3 movies, standalone movies. I rank them the first one, the third one, then the second one. That's in order of.
You liked Far From Home.
The third one's the best. The first one was the second best, and the second one was the third best. Okay. Does that make sense? Is that confusing enough?
Yeah.
But they were all good. I think this one's plot was real good. I think that the way they're still tying things together and tying things in is real good. Lots of surprises, lots of stuff to give away. We have the trailer playing just for something to have. So yeah. So they give away some stuff in the trailer, but trust me, there's stuff in the movie that's not in the trailer.
Stuff that you wouldn't even expect. And
we may not have caught it all. I'm sure we didn't.
No.
We've only seen it. We've only seen the movie the one time.
Yeah.
But there's lots of applaud moments. There's lots of moments, kind of jaw-dropping moments.
Oh yeah.
Good performances.
I want to say though,
by the actors.
This movie's a lot darker than the other ones, and I kind of liked that. It's it starts off, again, no spoilers, but it starts off really dark in the beginning. To be honest, with everyone knows who Spider-Man is now because of the ending of Far From Home. And if you haven't seen Far From Home and you don't know that yet, then what are you doing? That's not a spoiler. Yeah. But it starts off with that. Starts right after that. And from there, it just gets better and better.
I think what this one did for me is it was more emotional. And so, the other 2 were fun, and they certainly had some emotion to them. But this one starts to really, you can really see yourself in some of these characters. And like I said, the performances are really good.
Let's talk about the actors. Oh man,
we'll go into the nostalgia. We know there's going to be some nostalgia in this from the trailer, from some of the other Spider-Mans, and when you're doing a movie that's going to have nostalgia in it, especially, it's hard to always make it make sense and do the nostalgia you're using justice. And I think they did pretty good at that.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
Yeah.
On that.
I agree with you because we were talking about this the night when we got home from watching it. We were obviously there's some movies that just bring back old characters just to do it, just for the fan service, just so that people will go see the movie. But again, like you said, they made it make sense and they did really good with it. And I didn't think it was just cheesy. I didn't think it was corny. I thought it made sense. And the progress that it made for Tom Holland's Spider-Man was really good. He learned a lot of stuff in this movie, which it was about time that he learned, because he's had three of his own standalone movies, and yeah, he's had to hold his own sometimes, but not like this. Like, I like when the weight of the job kind of pressures in on him. That's that's some of my favorite acting he does, is when the weight of everything kind of crushes him down, but he gets back up and goes after it again. Like, that's what I really like. And so Tom Holland did a really good job in this movie, and it was astounding. So that's what I thought about it.
He's taken over as my top Spider-Man.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want to talk about Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin?
Well, we know with the trailer that Green Goblin must make an appearance because you see his pumpkin bomb.
Yeah, and he's in this one.
I will only say at this point that that's not the only thing you see from him.
Yeah. He's actually like the main villain, which I think was...
Well, we weren't going into spoilers.
That's not spoiler. That's not a spoiler. Everyone, people know that people like got revealed that Doc Ock wasn't.
Let me tell you what Marvel does better than DC and any other superhero franchise for that matter, and what's setting their movies apart a little bit. Some of them they don't do, and they're not their better movies. Is they take the time to develop a villain and get you. It's not just a superficial, huge CGI. Of course, Thanos was a big CGI guy, but they went so in depth with his character development that even though it was basically a cartoon character in the movies, you still related to him and understood. They gave you a lot of insight into him, and that's what you do if you want your villain to matter and bring emotion to your movie. You've got to build them up. And I've told him before, Willem Dafoe is one of my favorite actors now. In a lot of movies these days, he's obviously a supporting character, or I think in some of the hero movies like Aquaman, he played the guy that taught Aquaman how to fight and stuff. And in John Wick, he played an older assassin that was basically friends with John Wick and was looking out for him. So he's always kind of had that supporting type role. And a lot of people today haven't seen him as a main character. Well, in this movie, you get that comes through. And I've always told him, I said, this dude's one of the best villains of all time. And man, does he deliver a performance in this one?
Yeah.
So between him and Tom Holland and the supporting cast and Doctor Strange doing his part, it was just really well put together. Easy to follow, really. Especially if you've seen. Well, we'll get into that in a minute, but it's fairly easy to follow if you're up to date on your Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Even then, I think the thing people liked about this the most is that it didn't feel as much like an MCU movie. It felt more like a standalone Spider-Man movie, if that makes sense. People enjoyed that.
It was Spider-Man with elements of the MCU.
Yeah. Not just this whole big MCU thing, but, you know.
All right, we're 8 minutes in. I think we can get into some spoilers.
You right? Okay. So at this point, if you have not seen the movie, you might want to click off now, because we will talk about spoilers, and spoilers there are. Like, there's a lot, and they're pretty big ones. And they do involve the future of the MCU, and especially Spider-Man. So if you haven't clicked off yet, go ahead and do that now, because we're about to talk about spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Okay, if you haven't clicked off by now, that's your fault. Okay.
My favorite.
Here we go.
Not necessarily my favorite, but one that I did not expect or see coming at all was the appearance of Daredevil, or Matt Murdock, as the lawyer. See, Spider-Man gets into a little bit of trouble, and they decide that he needs to get a lawyer. And of course, the character is the character from the Netflix series of Daredevil, which I've seen all seasons and was very disappointed when they canceled it, because I thought it was a very good Daredevil series. He's a tough character to do. And I thought they did pretty good, especially on Netflix's budget, which at the time they were making it probably wasn't that big.
Yeah. I haven't seen it yet.
But as soon as they sold the character, I knew who he was, and I was like, I can't believe it. I'm thinking that to myself. Now I knew he hadn't seen it, so I knew he wouldn't recognize him right away. But then a brick comes in the window, and he uses his reflexes to catch it, and Spider-Man doesn't know who he is.
He's a really good lawyer, though.
Yeah,
he's a really good lawyer.
Spider-Man doesn't even know who he is, but he's wondering, he's like, how did you catch that? You know, when he caught that brick. And if you don't know, Daredevil is the hero of Hell's Kitchen, which is also in New York City. I found that was really cool. And it was just for a minute. And they gave him just a little bit of justice, you know. They had the little thing where he stuck the brick. And so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just was not expecting it. So it was really like an aha moment for me. I enjoyed it. What was your favorite?
My favorite moment... My favorite moment.
Well, you have to pick a moment, but maybe.
I know. One of my favorite parts of the movie was in the final battle when all three of the Spider-Men was swinging together. Mm-hmm. It was not that long, but it was amazing.
It was basically like 1 or 2 seconds.
But it was so good. It was so good to see.
But when they all swung together and they had the moonlight behind them, and you could see them all, and they were very distinctly different poses. It was pretty sharp.
So let's talk about their entrances, because I know we had this conversation, but he said he really liked Andrew's entrance because like the way they did it was Ned had the magic thing, and you saw Spider-Man, you obviously knew it wasn't Tom Holland, but you were like, okay, which one's it gonna be? Comes through and it's Andrew. Most people could tell by the suit, but if you couldn't tell already, he takes his mask off. He's like, I'm Spider-Man, and that one was really good. That was a good applause moment. I was like, yeah. And then go ahead and tell them about the Tobey Maguire one.
And the Tobey one, it was okay. But it was the same thing, just without him in a suit. Now, I didn't have a problem with him making an appearance without a suit on. That's not the issue. You just showed Andrew getting come in the same way. So now you're expecting, I felt like they just didn't catch me off guard enough, because now when he does it again, I'm like, okay, now here comes Tobey's. Yeah. It was just, so I felt like they could have brought him in some other kind of way, maybe during an action scene or something, where he just all of a sudden shows up because his tingle's going off.
His tingle? The Peter tingle?
The Peter tingle is going on. So, I wouldn't say disappointed. It was still solid, but it just didn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I felt like both of their performances were pretty much spot on with how they were in their series of movies. I think
Andrew did better than he
Andrew was better.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was better. He was a lot better. And his villains were better.
Yeah. I think that just has to do with like we talked about. I think that's just the movie's fault, like the director's fault of his movies, not his fault. Because I think he's a good actor. I think he played Spider-Man, especially in this movie. He did it really well. I liked it.
I liked that they didn't de-age them, because there's nothing in the rule book that says that they have to be the same age, that they could be different ages. I like that Tobey looked like a 40-year-old man out there.
Which he is,
being Spider-Man.
It's
amazing.
Was
pretty cool. He had to stretch his back out in the middle of a fight or right before the fight.
It's good.
They all learned from each other, because even though all the Peters are very smart and intelligent, they're all different.
They have different experiences.
And so them working together with their expertises was pretty good to see. You could definitely tell that the Tom Spider-Man, who is, I would guess, is the youngest of the three. Obviously, he is in real life.
He would. I think he is.
I think it was portrayed that way.
He's the least experienced.
Yeah, I think he was portrayed that way as well. Learning from those guys about their experiences and the people that they've lost in their lives helped develop him even more. That was really good to see. Let's get into the villains, I guess.
Well, we could talk about because that happened with that whole conversation that happened after Aunt May died. Which was another emotional point in the movie, because I think a lot of people love this Aunt May, and she died by the explosion and the what is it even called? The thing that Green Goblin flies on. What is that called?
You're going too far back. I can't remember that stuff. It's basically his sled.
It flew in behind her. His glider. It flew in behind her and hit her out of the way. And then he threw one of those pumpkin bomb things at it, and it exploded. And obviously Tom Holland lived, but his aunt had the quote. She had the quote. Great power comes with great responsibility, and we all knew what was going to happen after that, because they always die whenever they say that. That was a really sad part. And then right after that was when they had the talk about, losing loved ones. Like Tobey talked about losing his Uncle Ben, and Andrew talked about not being able to catch Gwen when she... Like he said, it was his fault, and so that was really good. That was a really good part. And then also, Andrew did have his redeeming moment, being able to catch MJ when she fell.
MJ was falling, and Tom was going after her.
Yeah,
we'll call him by their real name, since that's the only way we can separate them.
Yeah, you can't call Peter 1, 2, and 3.
So Tom's going after her, and then he gets knocked out of the way, and so Andrew Spider-Man comes in and ends up saving her the same way he pretty much lost his own girlfriend. So that was really cool. Little redemption.
Yeah, it was really nice.
So it was really neat.
Made me appreciate his character more.
Yeah, he did good. He did better in this, and maybe he would have been, like Mace said, part of it's just the movie and the direction and the writing. the technology of the time. Yeah. The effects weren't that great. He even made light of the people he had to fight when they're having conversations about the villains they've taken down.
Yeah, he's like, "You guys are awesome.
I
thought I wish I got a rhino suit." Yeah.
So that made light of that.
The comedy too was really good because they all had different villains, like we were talking about. But I really like the part when they talked about Toby's web shooters, how they come out of his skin instead of being made, and they were like, "How does that even happen?" Like the comedy was really good, and they definitely took advantage of it, and I think it was really good that they all got to have that banter because even though they had never worked in a movie together, it already felt like they had good chemistry just because they were Peter, and so they didn't really need to work together before, but it just made sense.
It flowed.
It just made sense and it felt good, and. I just loved the banter with them, and it was one of the most fun things I've ever seen.
So then, the main villain, Green Goblin, Willem Dafoe, did an excellent job.
Are we going towards the ending right now?
We'll get there. I like Doc Ock. Doc Ock was also one of my favorite villains in the original. And the reason why I like Doc Ock as a villain is because he's not really a villain. The only reason why he's a bad guy is because of that stupid chip.
Yeah.
Okay. Him and Peter were friends, and they worked together. So it was neat to see Tom Holland Spider-Man take a different approach and try and fix these guys, because in a lot of their cases, that's the problem, is whatever happened to them is what made them evil, not necessarily they were evil to begin with.
Yeah.
And Doc Ock ends up basically becoming a hero in this one. Yeah. And helping them dramatically, especially towards the end.
He saved Electro. They mentioned it like they were going to cure the villains, which for the most part I think they did. Them. And
you used the right word. It's really saving them. They saved the villains.
Yeah, but I had this conversation with Grant the other night. What about? Never mind. We're not going to talk about that. Well, me and you can have that conversation, but right now, because this can. But
I like that because I like that Doc Ock did end up helping him out and kind of bring his character full circle.
Yeah.
Again, Defoe's performance was legendary as far as villains are concerned.
He just got
the back and forth, because he can go from being Mr. Nice Guy like he was, and the little sicknesses just hibernating at the time, like a bipolar or schizophrenia, and then all of a sudden it starts to go. And one of my favorite scenes in the movie was when they were all at the condo, and Spider-Man's spider sense was going off, but it was like I usually when it goes off, they do something with the screen, or it's a lighter ting or something else. Yeah, but in this particular spider sense, it was way darker, more of a bass sounding sound when his tingle was going off. And you couldn't quite pinpoint it. He walked into the room where all the villains were. And you couldn't quite pinpoint where it was coming from. Then all of a sudden, instinctively, he fires the web, and it stops him from throwing that pumpkin bomb. Because basically that spider sense was picking up on that alternate personality taking over Green Goblin again. So I thought it was really cool.
He's like, "Ooh, you're good." That was a really good line.
He's like, "Oh, you're good."
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That one was really good. That was one of my favorites too.
Yeah. So
that was really good. But yeah, I like Willem Dafoe. Like you said, I've seen him in movies before. Like I like John Wick. I know he was in the first one, but I never seen him as a main villain like that, and it was quite the treat. Christmas came early this year. It was amazing. But yeah, I think all the other villains did pretty good jobs. Obviously, Sandman and Lizard were kind of in the background compared to Electro and Doc Ock and.
Well, Sandman, they didn't change him much. He's still just a guy who really just wants to be with his family. Lizard guy is just kind of.
He was the doctor that got.
Yeah, he was a doctor. He was still looking for that cure and just got he got overwhelmed with what he was trying to achieve. Jamie Foxx did really good with Electro. I love Jamie Foxx as an actor. He's really good. Just about everything he does. He was better as Electro in this one.
Yeah, I figured.
And, the back and forth, like he's weighing it out. I don't really want to go back to that world, man.
Yeah, I can
power
feel
here is so much better. It was just good. It was good. It was good motivation. That's how I would see that character being. He was obsessed with that power.
That's another thing, though, too. When we mentioned in the spoiler-free section, we were like, it made sense why they're all here and why they're trying to fight to stay here, is because each person, like each villain had kind of their own goal of either wanting to stay here or wanting to go home. Like Sandman, all he wanted to do was just go home. Electro wanted to stay, but at the same time, he was kind of like, do I want to stay? Do I want to go back? But I think ultimately he wanted to stay because he felt way better.
Yeah, when he got that arc power from that machine, that was all she wrote.
It made sense. It was just, it was nice. I know we've been going for 20 minutes, but hey, there's a lot to talk about.
So, there is. We're trying to hit a bunch of good stuff.
How about we get a little towards the ending?
Okay.
So the end battle is when they're on the rafters in the next to the Statue of Liberty, which was this whole fight scene was really good and really well done. This is when they start to go and save all the villains. Like Doc Ock grabs I think Andrew and Tom. Because Toby's up at the top of the statue fighting with Sandman, and then he grabs Andrew and Tom and lifts them up, and then he turns around and puts the cure thing on Electro, and he saves him. And I thought that was a pretty good redeeming moment. Then they save Sandman. They turn him back to his normal human self. He's not made of sand anymore. But Willem Dafoe is the final one they fight, and I can just say that Tom Holland, I've never seen him that angry, and it was amazing. Because, you know what I'm talking about? Like, he was going to kill him. He was straight up going to take his glider and stab him.
The phrase was, I don't know if I'll get it verbatim, but when they were having their little showdown, it was basically, I didn't send you home yet because I wanted to kill you myself. That's essentially what he said. That's dark. It's deep. Toby saw it.
It's so good, though.
And knew that this was not the right way. And he was about to kill him. I mean, he's pounding his face in.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's never just gotten on top of somebody, just pounded on him.
Yeah.
And then he picks up the glider and he's fixing to stab him with the glider, which is the exact same way. Well, not the exact same way, but Toby killed the original Green Goblin with the glider, but the glider was trying to attack Toby from behind.
Yeah, he jumped.
So it was a little different, maybe motivation there.
But it was kind of correlated.
But it was still symbolic, I think. He was fixing to kill him with the glider, just like Toby had done, more or less. And he knew that would not make Spider-Man any better than, because he's already been through it. So so he had to save him, and it wasn't necessarily saving the Goblin as it was saving Tom.
Yeah, that was a really good part at the end when Toby tries to save him, and then Toby or Willem does stab Toby in the back.
Yeah, I know. I thought they were going to kill him.
I thought they were going to kill him too, and I was about to be so mad.
I can only handle one brutal death in a movie of a character I like.
Come on. But they did kill him.
I've been stabbed before.
Yeah, there was good comedy. He's like, I've been stabbed before. Good comedy. He ended up living. But the box that had been holding the messed up spell had been broken, and it was starting to tear open like the entire. This was kind of where the MCU stuff headed in. It started to tear open the multiverse, and like you could see there was Rhino in there. There was Scorpion.
Everybody that knew Peter Parker, Spider-Man, was fixing to come through.
And then here's the ultimate sacrifice. He sacrificed his literal life, not like death,
life as he knew it.
Life as he knew it, to save the reality that he was in, so that it wouldn't literally tear open the entire multiverse.
There's a growth here, because in the original spell, when he first went to Doctor Strange, he wants them to just erase them knowing who Spider-Man is, but still knowing Peter Parker, and then he tried to change, I want to keep a few people that know both, and that's how it all got messed up. But in the final act, he's like, well, what happens if Peter Parker doesn't exist, if nobody remembers Peter Parker? And he's like, that'll do it.
It could work.
But... And so now, basically, nobody knows who Peter Parker is. Yes. They know he's Spider-Man. They know that there is a Spider-Man. But they don't even know Peter Parker exists. That means he has never met MJ. He's never met Ned. These people that are close to him. I mean, that's a big leap.
Not even Happy knows, which is like Happy. So and then at the end when he went to go see his aunt's grave, and Happy was there, that kind of made me sad. That like it's just like, how did you know her? Through Spider-Man. That's so sad that he can't tell him I was Spider-Man. Like, that's just so sad to me that he can't say that. But regardless, he does try to go find Ned and MJ, but regardless, he ends up ultimately just letting them go, and because he sees that they got into the college they were trying to get
better
into.
Off. Right now, as it closed, he realized, even though he kind of gave a sentence to MJ that would indicate, that they could probably get back together, even because he knows so much about her, he could probably win her back easily, even without her knowing who he is. But I think that ultimately, like what you were leading on to there, was he's realized their lives are better not knowing me, really. Like, they're safer, and they're getting what they want. So maybe it's best that I just leave it how it is.
It's better for them.
And that's pretty much how the movie lets off.
And it's like a sad ending.
It's led into, and I almost just fell out of the back of this chair.
Well, if you
it's led into Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness, or whatever it's called.
Scene, Multiverse of Madness.
There is a mid-credit, and it's a mid-credit scene, and there is a post-credit, basically deep dive trailer
It was like a teaser trailer. So it was a little bit longer than a teaser trailer.
Stick around after the credits.
It's worth
even
it.
the full credits.
Yeah, it's worth it. So
I don't know anything else.
Yeah, he got a new suit at the end. It's a little shinier, a little more retro.
Yeah, it looked a little retro. I mean, it's whatever.
Now you don't really get to see it that
you don't get
well
to see
though.
It very well.
Like, because it's dark and he's swinging around and there's a few lights. I think we're definitely going to be able to see it better whenever because he is getting a fourth movie, but I think it's going to be a while because I think Tom Holland himself said he wanted to take a break from acting for a little bit. So,
but like I said early in this review was when you do nostalgia, and I was going to go into this, is you had so much nostalgia with so many characters, it's hard to bring justice in there and make it all serve a purpose, but I think they did good. And when you were talking about almost all your main characters were nostalgia. So you really had to tie them all in, give them all their moment, and to really shine and do something for the common good or the common bad, whatever the case may be. Then I think they did real good with that. So,
all right. So that's all the big things I can remember. The three Spider-Man. It keeps going that. I don't know what's wrong with this chair, but it keeps doing that. So yeah, the three Spider-Men did really well. The villains did amazing. Even Ned and MJ did really good.
They were great.
Of course, they
did their thing.
They were a little on the sideline, but Ned. Okay, one tiny thing is Ned kind of got this power out of nowhere, which is not explained yet, where he can summon the circles. And here's the thing, okay. If you ever watched the first Doctor Strange, it took Doctor Strange so long to learn how to do that. Ned kind of did it in a few minutes.
That's my least favorite part of this movie. Not that he can do it, but it's not explained. It's kind of minimizing the ability. You know what I mean? So I don't care that Ned ever gets to where he can do that. And I know, but they throw in the throwaway line of, well, my grandma or whatever says I got magic in me or something, just something that a grandma would say, I guess. But, and then all of a sudden he just happens to, I don't know. I think it served the plot, but I just feel like it kind of weakens that ability a little bit.
I think maybe...
So I can just put on this ring and do this and I can make portals. I mean, come on.
Maybe it'll be explained eventually.
Maybe.
That is my least favorite part as well. But not because Ned can do it, because I actually really like Ned. He's one of my favorite characters. He's funny. He's really genuine.
The guy in the chair.
He's the guy in the chair. His grandma too. When they actually did the thing, she's hilarious too.
Yeah.
But Ned's one of my favorite characters. I would not mind if he got some sort of power or something. But I agree because it took Strange so long to learn how to do that, and if anyone could do it, that's just
needs to have some oomph behind it.
Yeah.
That's all.
We'll need to learn a little more. But yeah, other than that, great movie. I want to go back and watch it in theaters at some point. I probably will, but
definitely go check it out.
And this is one of those you want to watch.
This is the best thing they've put out since Endgame.
Oh yeah, for sure.
By far,
it's great.
Well, I guess I can't really make that. I didn't watch at least 3 of the movies, so I guess I can't really say that.
I think you're right though. I watched
you watched them all.
The closest one to this was Shang-Chi. I haven't seen Eternal.
Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi was really good though.
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, so that's our review, our in-depth review, spoiler and non-spoiler, of Spider-Man No Way Home. 10 out of 10 movie. Well, maybe not. 9 out of 10. It was good. It was really good.
10. It ranks right now just initially as my
number 3
favorite.
Behind Infinity War and Endgame.
Definitely top 5.
You put it behind Infinity War and Endgame. That's high up there. That's good.
It's pretty good.
All right, so hopefully this gets him back into a little bit more of the Marvel movies because
put out a good movie that makes sense and I'll watch it.
Yeah, I know, but
Eternals, I don't give a shit about Eternals.
You don't know anything about it.
That's why I don't care. That's why I don't care. Thank you for explaining that.
Hopefully he'll start getting back into it when they bring all the good stuff in. You're gonna see Doctor Strange?
I'll probably see Doctor Strange.
Okay. So let us know what you guys thought of the movie. If you've seen it, if you haven't, go check it out. And if you haven't, why are you still at this part of the talk? We've ruined the whole thing for you. So if you have, then let us know what you thought. And we will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys. Peace.